Alright, so I actually was able to recover some old Minecraft worlds from like 2012. At least this one's most recent date on the file was for February 4th of 2012. I probably was working on the world a few months before then as well, just kind of sporadically. I don't remember quite what version this was, but I believe it was before the food update of like 1.8, I think it was, in beta. And it was definitely before creative mode because, as you can see, these are actually the cheated equivalents of infinite blocks of stack, like items. You used to have to like mod flying in manually. I don't quite remember where everything is. I have an idea of some stuff. I'll have to run around a little bit. But basically, this was a dock. A lot of the things that are here now, because this is running in 1.13.2, so some things have changed. There might be some terrain bug generation. Um, in general, this is just something I had built a while back. So I'm hoping to kind of tour around it for a tiny bit here and find some cool stuff. I can't quite remember how to get into this little village. This was intended to be an adventure map, actually, when I was creating it originally. I do recall that I had like kind of some ideas for Legend of Zelda inspired puzzles and whatnot. You can see the world's a lot different. A lot of this stuff, I believe this ice was edited in or manually placed at least, because I don't remember how to quite do that. But to give some stuff, like there weren't really a lot of stone staircases and stuff even. There was like the very default ones, I believe, and then like these half slabs. So we got like kind of a little village over here. I frankly can't even say I quite recall the purpose of this village. Clearly made a wizard's tower with a thing. So to think that since this is about 6 years ago, this would have been it would have been just about 18 actually. Probably can't remember if I was turning it that year or not. Actually, I'd have to do the math again. I can't quite be asked. So we had a tower with a floating island. I even made it have water below it, like as if it had ripped out of the floor. I used to think about little tiny details like that. I know that a lot of it hasn't changed in that sense. We've got a little kind of, I don't know, eatery up here. I wouldn't even know how to describe that. Just trying to not take very much damage so I don't have to cheat in any food, because I don't even know if I can. No, yeah, doesn't have cheats enabled. I guess I could go online if it required it. And this might even have a modded hunger, if hunger was out at the time, to be pretty much infinite. I don't remember. All I know is just creative mode didn't exist. So over here we've got, actually, I believe this was the exit to a dungeon, probably the volcano one. This told you which kind of directions to go. Obviously there weren't a lot of the command block things that kind of define adventure maps nowadays, so this is very primitive in that sense. Well, we had a volcano. I don't know if there's an entrance at the top of it. There's a painting that may have been placed in a bugged place, like up against the wall or something. That must have just been a pit that killed you, because I can't figure out why I would have done it that way. Over here we had another village. It was Crescent Moon of some sort. Let me see if I had a name for the town. Aitselec, or Aitselec. I'm not sure what I would have called it, how I would have pronounced that back in the day. We have a manure shop. Real winner of a thing here. Right, there were even items. So cocoa beans existed at the time. Some of these chests, I suppose, you used to obviously kind of tuck resources. If you wanted to have it be a resource like map, you'd give them some occasional stuff in the form of each of these villages. Yeah, Aitselec Marketplace. Is this, I'm gonna put this on easy or peaceful mode for now, just for safety's sake. There's a little kind of thing. The thing about this too is, nowadays as a builder, like obviously I make everything a lot more grandiose. If I was redoing this map, I would definitely make things have more scale, terrain that kind of made sense, because otherwise we used to have towers like this, like welcome to the battle tower, a combat minigame. This was probably inspired, actually. You could, oh, you may use this for lighting, which meant that the building couldn't be permanently set on fire, but it was enough to, you know, get these zombies and stuff spawning. Those had to be spawned in very interestingly because, of course, there weren't like the new commands to get data tags on things. So you had to actually like cheat them, I believe, with World Edit. I can't remember. I don't know if World Edit was even used actually, but the idea would be that you get up here. This was inspired by oh, there's a lot of good stuff up here even. Oh yeah, it was definitely the food update with all this stuff in here, because you wouldn't have been able to stack food otherwise. Yeah, but you wouldn't have been able to do the mod, or do it like the mod, because of course it wasn't applied. But basically the mod was a big cobblestone, mossy stone kind of tower. It'd be really tall, and at the top there was this like kind of ancient golem, like kind of whitish colored with, I believe, a blue like eye that was meant to be a diamond. Which was something that I think actually exists still as a mod, but I wouldn't even know what the name of it is. I'm sure, hypothetically speaking, if anyone were to see this video, just kind of just a bit of a vlog going through this world, that someone might know it. Anyway, going back over here, this is where the main tower castle was. Had a surrounded area. I actually have screenshots of this, but unfortunately when I was recovering these files from my laptop, the laptop kept freezing, like hard freezes, like a hard crash. And thankfully, when I was putting these files really quickly on my flash drive, I was able to get the world files for all of my stuff on my computer, or my old laptop, that is. So I was able to get those, but I wasn't quite able to get the screenshot folder. So I'm going to have to wait until a future time to do that. As you can see, this probably was all naturally generated terrain. I don't know how the hell I expected people to get in these things, because I can't find doors. Maybe I didn't, in fact, actually intend them to get in there. So we're just going to have to pop our way up. And when I say didn't, maybe I mean like the player would have been looking through some dungeon or something, and it would have, you know, brought them back into this castle, with the idea being that eventually you could escape. Or perhaps that those gold blocks were actually mechanically something that, like, I would give the player a pickaxe or something to break them eventually, or tell them. In fact, I think that was what it was. Now that I say that, I believe the way the map worked on like an adventure level was you had to play, of course, just kind of fairly, but you would come in and you would use certain types of tools to get through rooms. So in this case, you would need like a shear item and a pickaxe, and it would bring you to that kind of, you know, castle room there. Similarly, to enter this building in the first place, you would have needed that pick or whatever would have gotten in. Now, naturally, on any map, you could, especially adventure maps like this that don't limit the player through building's sake, you could realistically go and just get iron. In fact, they give iron multiple times on the map, with the idea being that you would use it for weapons and armor predominantly, and that you wouldn't break blocks, apart from key located ones. So it kind of worked in the sense of like a way a Zelda game would work, in that you would have like a, you know, your tools and stuff. So we had the Bolero Temple. I actually don't know which one is the Bolero Temple. If you seek the forest temple power, then follow the path of grass and flower. I can't imagine if I was writing that and thinking like Jamaican guy, but it wouldn't shock me. This was actually inspired by, and no, I don't think there's a block in there, it's just redstone. This was actually a fun little game. You would play basketball, and you just have to basically chuck an item in, and it would give you a reward. It actually played like a mini game from Zelda. Think like the bow and arrow shop and Majora's Mask or things like that, where you know, use items on them. There was no real particular. Oh, this must have been the starting area. Actually, hang on. What do we get around here? Use bridges to cross water unless in a dungeon. So apparently I had a thing of you couldn't cross water by just swimming in it. There were 6 dungeons. You did it in order. You would get everything you would want. You could grow crops if you need food. If a creeper decided to be an ass, you could do your best to go on, and good luck to the player. So I'm guessing this was the starting town then. Feel free to sleep in beds and use NPC furnaces. So I guess I did right there. This was actually before anvils, so this was kind of structurally an anvil. I can't remember if there was something you could do with iron blocks that worked like an anvil, and they eventually added it, but it's kind of hard for me to know. Example of a trading kiosk. A garden to have things grow. I guess it was kind of me telling the player what they could and couldn't do by kind of hiding things, or not hiding things, but building things, and then casually being like, hey, you know, maybe a villager would be a bit sad if you broke this. But this was in general the first village. I'm hoping to find a sign for the name of it. This town will echo this tutorial. Is this the spawn? No? You are a farmer who lives in a town called Barum. You enjoy adventuring by your town, but have never gone farther than Aitselec town, which was the moon town apparently. Go and buy manure. So I actually even had a lore reason why you could go over there and why that manure shop existed. You were a tiny little farmer growing 16 crops or something right there. This building looks actually like it was probably meant to be a barn. Which actually I like the structure of it. I think that's cool. Well, I can't break that, but this is a backup of the map anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Obviously over here you would get a boat. There was a boat at another dock, but the idea was that you'd get these boats and eventually you'd be able to you know, travel dock to dock, and it'd be your kind of quick travel equivalent, because they couldn't really create that without command blocks back in the day, at least not through a natural mean. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not going to go super far if it is way farther than I expect, but I believe their forest temple, as it said, was this way. It was in a mountain, and it had a bit of a puzzle parkour thing to it. There's a block of dirt right there, so that might actually be a good cue for me. Oh, I don't want to look forever if I don't find it. Naturally, in any designed game nowadays, this would be a terrible way of designing something, making the player just kind of walk through a forest until they hopefully found something of interest. It doesn't look like it was that far away. That would be leading to like a desert, and it definitely was not in a desert. I believe this was a version of the map that had it. I don't think I ever had multiple versions. Head to the west. Yeah, that would have been that way. And it wouldn't have been that far, so it's somewhere over here. Normally I would build a surface monument that would be more visible if I was going to do something like this. Probably have occasional pillars and stuff to kind of guide the player towards it. But, you know, game designs 2020. And this map never actually released for obvious reasons. It was, although I wasn't super young, it was, you know, something that was kind of a exploratory device of storytelling, I suppose. I really don't know how to find this temple. I don't want to look too much more because there's at least one more thing to check out. But if I can find it right over here, that would be great. I know that I built it this way. That's one of the few things I do remember about this map. There's in fact trees over here. This is the forest temple. So here's a bed, a checkpoint. Multiplayer just told the player to make a thing. So in here you actually needed the shear item to enter this temple. Don't remember what temple gave it, but you'd get in. Maybe it was not even shears. Maybe it was even a flint and steel, which would have equally have done it. But here is a puzzle. You could probably guess how to do it. You had to grow a tree in here because you couldn't place the blocks, but you could place saplings because you're able to farm as a farmer. Fuck it. Some parkour. Over here, gave them a sword. There's some mobs. Ooh, a underwater part. That would have been awful. Force the player to go through. They'd have another room where I assume they'd be able to burn things. Or maybe not. Maybe they were only able to break the leaves. which is why they wouldn't be able to get to that redstone. So this gave flint and fishing rods. Oh, I see what this probably was going for. Oh, see that pile just broke because it was a bugged one from back in the day. So this was a TNT run. These were actually very kind of iconic back in the day for these kind of maps because they... Oh, slime balls. I don't know why the player would ever need those, but still. These were kind of iconic as a game mode, even TNT run. They still exist, but not anymore what they used to be. There was a battle down here, I guess. It'd be just a shitload of zombie spawners and stuff, and you'd get your tool of the dungeon, the diamond shovel. Run through, and this was probably the most thorough dungeon from what I recall. But the way they usually worked was you would leave them with that, and it would direct you back out to the temple, kind of casually while hiding some of it. Like, you could clearly find these and go to that side, and you might even go to it accidentally and just, you know, the idea would be that you wouldn't dig in because it would kind of ruin the spirit of any of the map. So there's one more thing for this temple. I know this video is getting a little bit long, but it's something that has a nostalgic value to me, and, you know, seeing an old build might give just a kind of retrospective, which is why I hope to put it on YouTube here. Give myself an idea of kind of where I was in Minecraft 7 years ago, actually. It would have been 2012 in February, so as this is March, it's actually at 7 years. Just, of course, no boats in there. I'm dumb. In reality, there's no reason the player wouldn't be able to just swim across this shit if they really felt like it, but I gave that rule at the beginning that no swimming, you had to use a boat. The minecart system over there at the other one clearly was, like, I think the last area. This map actually got to a point where it was updated on, I think, 1.8 something, and they had changed the terrain generation, and it messed up everything. Like, it completely affected, which is why I think actually some of these biomes are snowy over there as opposed to here only, because I think those ones up against there started freezing, and then there were also terrain generation problems eventually because you get that kind of effect. As you can see, this is before snow could individually be piled, but we had another kind of village over here with some stuff in it. I don't believe a temple was ever made. As you can see, most of the buildings aren't even labeled, although they all are, you know, pretty furnished. They have beds and stuff. I don't even know if villagers were around at this time because, frankly, if they were, I think you would have probably seen them spawned in these things. So I'm guessing this is my ice temple. It's actually a woodland mansion kind of thing, and the idea being that, well, you couldn't go in those doors, so instead you had to kind of parkour your way around this map and be like, oh, well, I can't go there, but I can go over here in the front. And ice made this a little bit harder to traverse. Same with, like, the skeletons, actually, which would have been kind of awful. I don't remember if it was a mechanic I allowed to, like, break things, like spawners. I might have allowed that, but it's hard to tell nowadays. Yeah, so this was a parkour temple, which is interesting. I've dabbled in parkour courses outside of things, but as you can see, it wasn't very hard, at least not for someone who's now played Minecraft for a decade. I'm sure younger me was like, oh yeah, this will be perfect for difficulty. In fact, actually, I think sprinting and stuff got easier. Oh, this doesn't actually get up there. I wonder if maybe I'm not meant to go that way then. Okay, so that, oh, it's a checkpoint system. That makes sense. I came in this way, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, so clearly I fucked up that right here. This obviously didn't get tested, so it wasn't a block anyway. We had up here near monsters a big gold room that you would have actually probably technically been able to collect by the rules of my game mode here. I guess you just want to go down into the pig pen. I don't know why that would have been a snowy pig pen. Obviously, all the snow had to be manually placed, and it looks like this is probably where the build was at until I eventually, stopped or went to a different temple or something to work. Overall, yeah, that would have been probably where it stopped. Oh wait, no, I made a pyramid. Because pyramids have never been a thing since, like, in dev. And this clearly isn't an in dev world. So let's go check out the pyramid real quick. I believe this is a maze, so I'm not going to go in it if that's the case. Oh, this is where the railway goes. Not the ice village like I formerly thought. So we actually had another village, and it would have actually probably been an uninhabited one. But, went for all the themes of your standard kind of RPG fare, or fanfare, I mean. Checkpoints. What do we got over here on this side? Finish the temple, walk along the track to the gravel. I guess that's probably my way of saying go to the snow temple. You could buy things in an honor system, I believe was the mechanic there, where you'd give them an iron instead of, like, for the material. But of course, as with anything else in this map, the honor system is only, worth its weight in whatever. I don't even know. Oh, so they would have gone to this gravel. You would have broken it, entered the pyramid. This would have required the shovel, which was from that forest temple. And there was actually, I guess, multiple. The path of the mind. The gods demand a blood siphon. I don't know what that would mean. Just drop an item. The path of a warrior, which was just a bunch of mobs, probably. Well, gravel you could break, so that would leave light in, which I guess is actually kind of clever, to create something like that, where you give the player a mechanic tool that would actually help them in this dungeon, whereas in, other cases, like, it would be arbitrary. It would just be to block the path more, which is unique. Thought it was coming here. Go back. Okay. Well, could have seen that coming, I guess. I figured I would have had a drop-off path that would have brought you right back. But nope, I made a temple that worked both ways, which is interesting. Yeah, so this is another one probably too. And it's just enough to give barely any light there, and I think it was probably more for person's ability to see. Now, the inner sanctum, I know this would have just been do the other two levers and it would have opened the door. Or I guess it would open that door as well. We had another boss gauntlet. And you unlocked diamond boots, which you can now withstand cold and walk on clouds. You would head to Lilk Town for the temple. I don't know where Lilk Town was. There actually probably was a cloud temple, being an idea for a place. Heavens knows if I know where that is. How long is this actually? It's probably getting a bit long. I'm gonna go just a tiny bit more because I'm courageous. I told the player to walk along gravel instead of here. I wonder what that meant. Well, there was definitely a cloud temple then. But overall, this is the glimpse of how my kind of amateur game dev Minecraft map exploration and building just kind of worked in general. That's actually another biome that probably regenerated itself to a different type. That's probably why it froze over in the desert, because that doesn't look like the snow I placed. In fact, I guess I didn't even notice it was this close over here. And yeah, you can see it actually is completely different terrain generation from what it used to be, which is just interesting. So yeah, that's the town I kind of started this video off with. So yeah, it's definitely not everything on the map And this map probably had almost all the temples done, maybe minus a final one or two. But overall, that's one of the maps I had from my Minecraft 1 point God knows how long ago days, sometime in beta, not in alpha. Yeah, so if you liked the video, I suppose drop a like there. If you want more, I actually have 9 other worlds that were created. Don't remember if there was a limit back then, but yeah. So I'll probably go through each of them and record them for completionist's sake, library sake. And that's it. Thanks.